Everybody, happy Monday. Sorry, I've kind of lost my voice there a little bit, so if it crackles, just deal with it here. So let's get into talking about this awesome, fun subject of the NAR lawsuit settlement, which is on, really has been on every news channel and article for the last week or so. Since it's been released, of the settlement proposal. Now, what you got to realize here is this is a proposal. It is not final yet, but for the purposes of this video, let's assume that it is finalized. So let's talk about what is really going to happen when it's supposed to be enforced in July. So currently, right, so let's say it just passes tomorrow. It will be all business as usual until, obviously you're going to see people start transitioning to whatever model that needs to happen. But for purposes of this video, let's just talk about what it is today, right? And if you follow me or done any real estate with me, we do not charge buyers. It's been something I've been a huge advocate of, and we advertise, we market that, as a great selling point of working with us is we don't charge you. We get paid whatever the listing agent and the seller pay us through the cooperating agreement. And I'll just say on average, that's usually somewhere between 2%, 2.4% of the purchase price. Now, a lot of people don't realize, I'm just going to touch on this real quick, right, is just because that's what gets paid out on paper, that is not what real estate agents make, right? That's far from it, right? There's a billion fees that come with real estate. Tons of fees, thousands of dollars every year in fees. Also, there's brokerage splits. So of that percentage, the brokerage takes a certain percentage. And I'll say, kind of like your common I don't know if I think I can go this line. Get over. Kind of like a very common model. Nope, I do gotta get over. Right now is usually what's called like 70-30 or 80-20 splits, meaning that you, the agent, would usually keep 70% of it or 30% of it, and then the broker takes the rest of it, right? So very, very common splits in real estate. So break that down again there. And also, that's not taxed, right? You get taxed on it when you're real estate kind of at the end of the year based on obviously your net profits and everything. So then you take another, let's just say 24 to 32% of that based on what that agent's making, and that gets taxed. So really, by the time it gets down, that agent's almost walk away is about less than like 50% of that, as a stereotype. Now, I will 100%, there is great money in real estate, absolutely. There is fantastic money, but your average agent does not make fantastic money. That's why it's a very high turnover rate, because it's very competitive. Because also, you got a 50% walk away, let's say, right? Well, you've not even paid for marketing and advertising yet. And as an agent, especially a new agent, to grow, you don't really have a great sphere of influence. Most people that that can buy a home or already homeowners may already have an agent that they like and trust, and they're probably going to keep using them. So again, say you have a 20% marketing budget, right? So now you're down to like a 30% profit. Well, you have an admin, you have an office fee. So again, it gets into it. So, but the margins are there, right? There's a lot of money to be made. I'm not denying that. But it's usually, you got to really scale to get into that. So what's going to happen here, as you see this, there are a lot of agents now and a lot of companies, a lot of teams, a lot of brokerages that do charge buyers agent fees now. That's fine. They can. It's perfectly legal. I'm against it. I've called people out for doing it, and early on especially, and in my career, then I realized, well, I'm actually more so in the minority of not charging. We've just never charged it. I actually don't do buyer's agreements now, and this is a big point I'm going to get into. So if you work with me, I can go show you a home right now. Call me up, Steve, I want to go see 123 Smith Street. I'll meet you out there. We'll go show you the home, no problem. If this settlement passes, you're going to call me and say, Steven, I need to see you at 123 Smith Street. I cannot show you the home legally without you entering into an agreement with me, right? Now, that agreement obviously can be negotiated, but do you work for free? No. Well, we can't necessarily work for free, right? So based on this, there's going to have to be some sort of compensation in there. And this is where it can go in a million different directions, right? Are there going to be models where you pay an agent per hour, right? Does an agent charge you $100 per hour, $200 per hour? Like, they charge you per showing. Do they charge you for research? Do they charge you for answering questions on documents, right? Where otherwise all this would generally be included within the commission at closing and you would pay nothing. Well, now all this money that the seller is going to be making by not paying the buyer's agent commission, they're going to be pocketing that, but now the buyers are going to be forced to come out of pocket with it. Now, ultimately, if you look at it on paper, the money's a wash, right? So you as a seller now, you pay both buyer and seller commission. Well, you as a seller now, if this passes, will only pay the listing agent. But when you go to buy, you will also pay the buyer's commission. So it's arguably like the money isn't going to change a lot. I don't believe that people say, oh, commissions are going to change by 30, 50% in the tire industry. I don't necessarily think that's going to be the case. And a big reason is because majority of real estate, like most of the business is actually done by like your top 10% of agents. When you really look at the bulk, right? And I don't know what the numbers are, but I would say you probably have like, 10% of agents around the country probably doing more than 50% of the entire business. And usually people want to work with agents that have great reputations, experience, they're referred, they do a lot of business, they're respected, they're educated. Because again, when you're talking purchasing hundreds of thousands of dollars or millions of dollars, you want the best of the best on your side. Well, do you want to trust, somebody with a business model that's brand new and they're saying, yeah, sure, you pay me $25 per hour, right? And they just charge you whatever, right? Or is it, pay per showing, right? I think there's going to be a ton of different business models. I think you're going to see a lot of tech companies, startup tech companies come in and try to create some sort of business model to where you probably go into their website, request a showing, you pay $100, and then a random agent will meet you out there. You sign like a one-day buyer's agreement or something to pay. Like, I don't know. I think there are going to be all kinds of different business models with this. But ultimately, this, in my opinion, ultimately does hurt consumers. Because you're going to give these, I've always said this, right? There's a lot of shady stuff in this business. There's a lot of stuff that can and does happen behind the scenes that people don't know about because they're basically relying on their agent to be trustworthy and tell them all the information when that's what you're relying on, right? They may not tell you the truth, and I see it all the time. Agents knowingly don't present offers and do very shady stuff. It happened to me within the last 2 weeks. An agent definitely did not present my offer. Now we kind of made things happen appropriately and made it right. But it was, they did not, they didn't do it. And they, I don't know, essentially got in trouble, but I don't want to get into that because that's still a touchy situation for me. It really pissed me off for my clients. But you're going to see all kinds of different business models. But ultimately, right now, you're going to have a lot of buyers who's like, all right, well, I might want to buy right now. Well, they're going to scoot up and they're going to buy right now because it's a matter of them. Let's just say that the numbers stay the same, and you have these agents that are going to charge you 2, 3, 4%, 4%. Again, I see that a lot. 3%, I see that a lot on buyers agency agreements. Otherwise, not us. So in July, if you don't buy a house and you want to buy a house in July, guess what? That listing agent and seller do not have to pay your people. Now, they can be negotiated in the contract, but if you want to buy a $300,000 house and you're under a buyer's agent agreement for 4%, well, not only are you buying a $300,000 house, you're also bringing an additional $12,000 to pay your agent. That currently, right now, you can find agents like us that don't charge you that. You would not have to pay that. So this is going to be out-of-pocket expense for buyers that you got to come up with. So that's where I think like the market here in the next couple of months is already heating up. I've done several videos on this. We have a lot of people. It's like, oh, I don't want to screw this. I don't want to mess with that, right? I don't have to pay $100 for an agent to meet me in a house. I don't want to have to be billed by, for whatever creative way they're going to bill me and stick it to me in the end, right? They're going to charge you for all these admin fees. At that point, they're going to figure it out, right? Especially these shady ones that, are just charging these outrageous commissions, do sleight of hand. They're already doing shady stuff anyways. They're not going to now come in and be like, well, time to be honest, right? They're not going to do that. They're going to figure out shady ways to get the most money out of you. And again, ultimately, I think consumers are not going to benefit from this. But if it happens, right, we have to adapt. We'll adapt. I'm not worried about it. I don't think it's going to affect us. Meaning me and my team. I think we'll adapt to it. We'll figure out what works and ultimately is what's in the best interest of the consumers. and we'll adapt and play the game. But I think you're going to see a big uptick as soon as like NAR announces, or whoever announces, if this does get passed. And maybe it doesn't, right? I think it has 50-50 chance. But if it does get agreed upon and passed, I think you're going to have buyers just flood the market because they're going to want to buy before July, where they're now paying this. And so I think you're going to see a little bit of chaos again with the buyers. I've already seen some stuff. We've seen one had like 10 offers on it over the weekend. I think we were like 20,000 above, like no inspections, and lost the offer. So crazy things are on its way. I'll do more videos on this stuff, once really stuff gets finalized, and I can give you like some opinions at that point. But really everything, like everybody's just giving you an educated guess, an educated opinion of what they think will happen, might happen. But until it's, settlement, it's done, and everybody's agreed upon it, we really don't know. Which is, they're always talking about now that just 50% of all realtors have to exit the industry, because what they're saying is commissions are going to go down. Again, I don't necessarily think that's true. Maybe for the people that are charging 8%, something ridiculous like that, which are out there, right? They got these sales models that they'll do that. Maybe those commissions do come down a little bit. But ultimately, kind of what we've charged, what we've done, our transparency. I've always said that I think this is the fair number for everybody. And so we'll see. Right. But yeah, I just want to kind of share that. I really do think it'll be very interesting. As soon as it's announced, if it is, I think you're going to have buyers flood the market, because now all the marketing and advertising done by agents, this is what you're going to see. Every realtor on your Facebook is going to say, hey, thinking about buying a house, you better buy before July. You better buy before July. You better buy before July. That's exactly what's going to happen. And it's going to freak buyers out, and as it should, right? Because I don't want to buy a house and pay potential tens of thousands of dollars more to my agent when I could buy that same house today and not pay that. But again, so I'm going to get back into that buyer's agent real quick before I go. Now you're potentially going to meet a stranger, right? And they're going to probably want to stick you to a 6-month agreement to where you can't get out of it. Right now, if you're in a buyer's agent agreement and your agent sucks, like there's ways, and most of the time easy to get out of, right? People don't want a bad review or hold people accountable and all that. But what's going to happen now, you sign up with that random agent who says they're great, right? And then not now, like, 2 weeks in, you've seen 5 houses, they get tired of it. They kind of like get lazy on showing you houses. You can't get out of that, right? They're gonna sue you if you go and you buy your cousin's home. They're gonna sue you for that commission that you owe them, right? Whatever was agreed upon. So you got to be wary of that. But at the same time, you have to sign that in order to see a house. That's going to be the rules. And then kind of like my thoughts, right? And again, I'm just giving you my preliminary thoughts. Well, I don't want to, because if you sign that too, I'm obligated to help you. We don't do that because, I don't want to be obligated to help somebody that maybe, is a shady person or doing something that, I don't really like, right? So I can just say, hey, better off find another agent, right? I don't want to sign that and then them hold me accountable to that agreement, and try to sue me for something, right? So I'm putting myself in a liability of doing that to a stranger as well. But I think you're going to see a lot more lawsuits of clients, buyers, and agents suing each other over now these agreements. Just because they're going to stick it to them, and you want out of it, sure, all right. There's a $5,000 cancellation fee. Like it's going to be wild. Which also could be fun, right? Also, I look at it as an opportunity. We're going to have an opportunity to be able to pivot, move quick, and adjust to what we need to help people out. So I'm not worried about it. But yeah, figure out to do that. Share a little bit as we keep going. I'll keep you guys updated. Thanks.